Something extraordinary is happening in British politics right now. Keir Starmer finds himself in full crisis mode as Reform UK continues its meteoric rise across the nation. Nigel Farage has successfully captured the imagination of millions of British voters, and the Labour leader appears to have completely lost his grip on the situation. Rather than responding with the composure expected of a prime minister, rather than addressing the growing crisis of confidence in his party, Starmer has chosen a shocking path. He has launched what many observers are describing as a barely disguised attack on the monarchy itself. This represents an unprecedented development in modern British politics. Keir Starmer, who has consistently presented himself as a defender of traditional British institutions and values, has now directed his frustration toward none other than King Charles himself. The reason behind this extraordinary outburst appears to be the monarch's perceived acceptance of Reform UK as a legitimate political force worthy of engagement and consideration. Welcome back to our channel. What we are witnessing is not mere political theater or campaign rhetoric. This represents a genuine political crisis unfolding before our eyes in real time. Anyone who dismisses this as a simple miscalculation or unfortunate choice of words fundamentally misunderstands the gravity of the situation. Starmer is revealing his true character under pressure: bitter, defensive, and increasingly desperate to discredit anyone who poses a threat to his diminishing authority. To understand the full context of this situation, we need to examine how Reform UK transformed from a political outsider into a genuine threat to the established order. The party was once routinely dismissed by mainstream media commentators and completely ignored by Labour strategists who assumed it would never achieve meaningful influence. Today, Reform UK is experiencing unprecedented growth that has sent shockwaves throughout Westminster's corridors of power. Nigel Farage has emerged not merely as another political leader, but as someone fundamentally reshaping the rules of British politics. Over recent months, he has successfully transformed frustrated citizens into engaged activists, converted widespread disillusionment into concrete electoral momentum, and built genuine grassroots movements from what began as simple political rallies. The most recent general election served as an early warning signal of what was coming. Now Reform UK is making significant advances across constituencies where both Labour and Conservative parties have consistently failed to deliver meaningful results for ordinary citizens. We are observing what can only be described as a genuine political revolution taking place across Britain. Starmer watches helplessly as his support continues to erode with each passing day. Every new opinion poll brings worse news for Labour. Every Reform UK event draws larger and more enthusiastic crowds. Every speech delivered by Farage generates thunderous applause and widespread media coverage. Starmer is not simply losing votes in this process. He is losing his fundamental ability to control the political narrative that once seemed so secure. If you're finding this analysis helpful in understanding the current political landscape, make sure to subscribe to stay updated on these rapidly developing events. This brings us to the unprecedented involvement of the Crown in contemporary political developments. Nobody is suggesting that King Charles has openly endorsed Reform UK or appeared at their political events. The monarchy operates with far more subtlety and constitutional awareness than such direct intervention would represent. However, something significant has clearly changed in the relationship between the palace and Britain's emerging political movements. According to reliable sources within Westminster circles, prominent figures associated with Reform UK have been granted unprecedented access to royal audiences and official ceremonies. These meetings represent more than routine constitutional obligations. Insiders describe them as meaningful political engagements that effectively signal royal recognition of Reform UK's growing legitimacy within the British political system. This development has apparently pushed Starmer beyond his breaking point. In his most recent major address, Starmer chose not to mention King Charles directly by name, but his intended target was unmistakable to anyone paying attention. He employed carefully chosen phrases such as privileged institutions that enable democratic decay, symbolic figures who normalize dangerous extremism, and established power structures being manipulated to elevate harmful ideologies. His message came through with absolute clarity. and millions of viewers understood they were witnessing a direct challenge to the monarch who continues to command far greater public trust than any current politician in Westminster. This behavior does not represent genuine leadership during challenging times. Instead, it constitutes a deliberate attempt to undermine constitutional institutions because the king refused to treat Reform UK as a political pariah deserving isolation and condemnation. We must acknowledge the real motivation behind these unprecedented attacks. This is not about protecting democratic values or defending constitutional principles. This is fundamentally about protecting Keir Starmer's wounded ego and declining political fortunes. He watches the electoral map shifting in directions that spell disaster for Labour's future prospects. British voters have grown increasingly frustrated with endless broken promises, increasing restrictions on free expression, and being told to remain silent while witnessing their country struggle with unprecedented migration challenges, economic instability, and growing disconnect between political elites and ordinary citizens. Reform UK provides these abandoned voters with authentic representation and genuine hope for meaningful change. That voice grows stronger and more influential with each passing week. Starmer responds to this challenge not by engaging with policy arguments or addressing legitimate concerns raised by Reform UK supporters. Instead, he attacks the Crown itself, the very institution that symbolizes national unity and constitutional continuity that he once claimed to revere and protect. His motivation is transparent. The king refused to bow to Labour's preferred narrative about political legitimacy. Charles declined to condemn Farage or marginalize Reform UK. For once, establishment institutions refused to automatically exclude political movements that challenge orthodox thinking. This represents political panic in its purest form. Starmer invested years building his reputation as the responsible adult capable of bringing stability to chaotic political circumstances. He presented himself as a leader of unquestionable integrity who could restore order and competent governance to British politics. What do we observe today? A leader coming apart under pressure, someone lashing out destructively at anyone who dares challenge his authority or question his political judgment. A man apparently willing to damage centuries-old constitutional traditions because he cannot win contemporary political arguments through conventional means. Meanwhile, Nigel Farage continues not merely surviving these attacks, but converting them into political advantages. He uses each desperate assault from Starmer to demonstrate Labour's growing weakness, increasing desperation, and fundamental disconnection from ordinary British citizens' concerns and aspirations. Farage continues building massive popular support, providing authentic representation for working-class communities, and exposing uncomfortable truths that establishment politicians prefer to keep hidden from public scrutiny. This represents today's crucial political development that every engaged citizen needs to understand. Before we conclude, remember to subscribe for continued coverage of these rapidly evolving political developments that are reshaping Britain's future. Our commitment remains delivering accurate, verified information about the political events transforming our nation. Share your thoughts about these developments in the comments below and help others stay informed by sharing this analysis with anyone interested in understanding Britain's changing political landscape.